Landscape architects like Vincent Lim are all about helping make people feel at home in the outdoors. We learn about the business of maximizing these spaces with Vincent of Clarq, landscape design and balcony and gardens. Vincent, welcome to the program and congratulations on your success as a landscape architect. But of course, with all of this success, we've been featured in many top magazines. We also want to find out what influenced you to pursue a career in landscape architecture.
Well, initially I wanted to become an architect, but it's really my interest in outdoor scenery, and that got me into this. And I thought, why not be able to create something like that and create something beautiful outdoors? So I'd like to have that.
Oh, of course. I mean, the beautiful outdoors
Yes.
now, we see a lot of trees,
Yes.
a lot of plants, a lot of open spaces.
Yes.
But of course, when you were young, did you do a lot of gardening work in your own backyard?
Surprisingly, not so much. But it's really just being outdoors, playing a lot outdoors, going to parks and playgrounds. So that got me interested there.
But what really got you interested into these public spaces, parks, resorts, open spaces?
Well, probably since after I graduated, I had the privilege of being able to travel and seeing that in other countries and how people use it in other countries. I thought, okay, maybe I can have an active part in doing that here in the Philippines, and maybe through my practice, we can contribute to that and have more public parks here.
So in your travels overseas, which particular parks, open spaces inspired you? In which cities and countries?
Well, San Francisco, I like Salesforce Park. I've been to New York. I mean, it's
Central Park.
Central Park, of course.
Yeah.
It's a combination of really the built parks and the natural parks that they rehabilitate and reinforce for more people to use it.
But what does it take to be able to design a park, to be a landscape artist? You are like a landscape artist. The open space is like your canvas.
Yes, so it's really a combination of artistry, creativity, and the technical know-how of how to do these things. So for us to have a successful public space project, we have to work well with the proponents, which is like the government and stakeholders, working with architects also and the planners of the project. It's really being able to work with a lot of people and being enrolled in one vision to create that public park.
A lot of stakeholders
Yes.
that you have
Yes.
to deal with.
Yes.
Let's say you have an open space, let's say in Manila or Makati, or let's say in Cebu or Davao, in Cagayan de Oro. How does that work? Do you tell them your vision for the space? What is your inspiration for the space? Or do they also let you know that we want this elements and that element for the space?
At least for my practice, it's the vision comes from the proponents, the people who want who invite us to do the projects, and from there we do a lot of interviews and a lot of dialogues for us to really churn out what other things we could contribute to make that vision even more impactful for the users, their intended users.
And of course, these days, a lot of developers are allocating more open spaces for residents, even for homes. More people are appreciating the value it adds to design space.
Yes, for the developers, of course, that's one of the things that sell. We also know that people who are into the build and sell business, having some greenery or landscape spaces, really get them better appraisal on their projects. And just because, especially during the pandemic, a lot of people realized the value of having these spaces, having these outdoor spaces where they can walk and play around.
And of course, you are a famous landscape architect to the celebrities. I mean, who among the celebrities has basically asked you to design their gardens?
Mr. Boyabunda, I've done some work with him, Mr. Revillame, Mr. Rico Blanco, and recently Mimi.
Not Rico Hizon.
Not yet. Rico, and recently Mimi. So we've done some work. They're so fun to work with.
That's right. So what kind of designs do they usually want for their gardens?
More often than not, we tie it with the design of their house. So Mr. Abunda had some eclectic taste. So he had an interesting interior design. So we kind of matched that. So even the color of the wall at one point had orange. And then for Mimiya, it's knowing how she wants to use her outdoor space, and which is to have spots there where she can vlog. And so it's not just about beautifying the space, it's also planning the space properly so she can have different activities there.
All right, even using it as a set, right?
Yes.
For their social media
Yes.
accounts. Where do you source your materials, and which materials are unique to the Philippines that we can highlight in open spaces?
For the projects, we recommend that we get plant materials that's within the vicinity of the projects. So the materials we'd like to promote are really the local endemic species, our Philippine plants. We have a lot of interesting and
What are some of your most favorite plant species locally?
Well, we have the banaba, which really flowers profusely during summer. It has a purple flower and it's really nice. Nara is always a good choice. Dita, champaco, which has very nicely scented flowers. So we're thankful that a lot of the developers are using more and more of these endemic species, and we really appreciate that.
And do you still remember your first big project and what you did for that project?
I've had some involvement when I was still in one of the developers for this park in Makati CBD. So that was really interesting because we got to work not just with local architects but also with some international designers. So that was really a learning experience for me. And seeing how people use that, we like that a lot. Yeah.
And what is your dream project, Vincent, here or abroad? And what is your big ambition as a landscape architect?
Well, dream project is to really have huge parks. I'm big about parks, but the dream is to really have a lot of these public parks across the Philippines for more and more people to employ landscape architects to design these spaces alongside the other designers and planners. And hopefully through my practice, we can take an active part in contributing to that.
Absolutely. Yeah. You will be a catalyst for Filipino parks and for open spaces for more Filipinos.
Yes, sir.
Vincent Lim, landscape architect, congratulations and thank you so much for joining us on The Final Word.
Thank you, sir.